Hi, this is Matthew Greene, and I'm an independent educational consultant and counselor in Wilton, Connecticut. And I wanted to address some of the concerns related to the effects of the coronavirus epidemic on college and on high school learning, and offer a little bit of advice during this time, and help students and families to understand what their options are and how to think about planning going forward. Obviously, the main concern we all have is health concerns, and students from around the country have returned home from college and are obviously sheltering in place from their high schools. The main goal students should have beyond their health and their family's health is clearly trying to finish this academic year successfully. That includes completing classes that are in progress, turning in all their work, trying to manage and adapt to e-learning. And we're seeing a lot of differences around the country in terms of what schools are doing and their policies. Some schools are assigning a lot of work online and having schools count their days as official school days. Others are not for a variety of reasons. I'm also seeing a lot of schools and colleges offering pass-fail options for their courses. So students need to be aware of what their school and their district are advising and requiring, and work with their teachers, adapt on the move here at home, and try to schedule their day to get their classes done. Additionally, we're seeing a lot of changes to testing, which has been quite concerning for many students, whether they are thinking about planning for SAT or ACT, SAT subject testing, or AP exams. And so I'll talk a little bit about some of those changes, which you might be aware of already. And again, it's a matter of flexibility as we look ahead and try to think about, for high school students, where they should go to college if you're a senior, or where you should be thinking about visiting, how you should manage your schedule, and what your timeline is going to look like now that we've got a lot of changes in place. From a planning perspective for 10th and 11th graders, many of them were thinking about taking SAT subject tests, and ACT tests this spring. Obviously, those have been canceled in March, April, May. We are looking at June test dates now, but even those could be pushed back. In response to this, colleges have been offering students more test optional policies. Even the University of California system has now announced that they will be test optional this coming year, which is a major change. We have other universities like Boston University, Tufts University, Case Western University, Scripps College, Davidson College. Many selective schools have announced either permanently going test optional for a period of 1 year to 3 years. So be aware of that. Some of the schools you might be interested in are going to de-emphasize testing and not require testing for this coming cycle. So that could be helpful if you feel like you're not able to get a test that's commensurate with your goals and abilities. That said, the College Board, and I suspect the ACT, will also be adding testing opportunities through the summer and fall. ACT had already announced earlier in the year that they were going to allow single section retesting beginning in September online. So that's going to help them. I would not be surprised if the College Board follows suit in some way. In order to take advantage of the ACT policy, they were asking students previously to take a full-length ACT sometime during this cycle. That could mean July at this point for some students, or possibly in September. So again, there are a lot of test dates available that are still in time for early decision, early action policies, and test dates through December that will be fine for regular decision, and many colleges that are going test optional to just take that pressure off entirely. Certainly the other thing that's really bothering juniors in particular is the inability to get out and do campus tours and campus visits. That's going to be unavoidable for the time being, and probably through a fair amount of the summer. This is also affecting seniors, because seniors won't be able to do their visiting now that they've been accepted to schools. So a lot of schools are putting extensive virtual visiting opportunities on their websites. There are also independent websites like uvisit.com and others that are aggregating campus visits. So for seniors, who aren't able to revisit, you do need to deposit usually by May 1. Some colleges are pushing that back to June 1, possibly later. So make sure you stay in touch with the colleges you've been accepted to, follow their guidelines, try to do as much as you can online. in order to track what your opportunities are and what your deadlines are. You will need to put a deposit down at one school, whether it's by May 1 or by June 1. Some students that I've talked with may start thinking further about taking a gap year, perhaps putting a deposit down at their school of greatest interest at this juncture, and then deciding to defer admission for the year or possibly a semester until things settle down and until the point that they can confirm that that college is their first choice. So watch the deposit deadlines if you're a senior. Think about gap year opportunities if that's something you may have already been interested in, or for financial reasons, personal reasons, other factors, you may decide to take a year in between high school and college. For sophomores, for juniors, we're looking at virtual visiting opportunities and thinking ahead to the fall when hopefully things get back to normal a little bit and you can break out some time to visit. This may also delay students who might be thinking about early decision in particular, which is a binding commitment. You may be less likely to want to do that until things sort out. The other thing to think about is, worries about how colleges are going to look at your grades, how colleges are going to look at your transcript if you're a junior or rising senior and, you're not able to complete classes, your classes have gone to pass-fail, your AP exam, which will now be an online exam at home, how will that go? Could be better, could be worse for you. Colleges historically have been, very responsive to individual or group circumstances, community circumstances when we've had a crisis. Whether we go back to 9/11, hurricanes like Sandy, Katrina, Hurricane Irene, the California wildfires recently, colleges are usually pretty understanding and pretty flexible when students have issues on their transcripts, when they've had to change classes, if they have a GPA shift of some kind, if they're not able to visit, if they're not able to interview, other kinds of things like that. So there will be opportunities to explain your personal circumstances and how this coronavirus situation impacted you, your school, your community, your family, when it comes time to apply. And again, in my experience, I found colleges to be quite responsive to students' explanations. And I think in this circumstance, which is really unprecedented around the world, I think colleges are going to be quite flexible in trying to understand each student's background, circumstances, and why they're presenting what they're presenting in terms of their transcript, their testing profile, interruptions in their activities. Many students who have been not able to complete their senior year or junior year sports seasons. They've had to drop activities, plays and musical performances have been canceled, debate tournaments, Model UN, across the board. This is affecting everyone, and colleges are going to understand that. And so down the line, whether you are a rising senior starting to do application writing, it will be important to describe those challenges and be quite clear about opportunities that you had to miss because of that, and talk about what you're looking forward to going forward. So the main things I'd like to emphasize for students and families right now, whether you are a senior looking ahead to college and you're thinking about where I should go, if you're a junior, if you're a sophomore, freshman, thinking about how this is going to impact all those plans you might have had for personal activities, for grades, for testing, I'd just like to reassure you that there's time ahead, and that if you are just focused on getting your academics together, doing as well as you can, you're going to be able to explain the circumstances to college. It is going to work out, and I think things will return back to normal slowly but surely during the year. And I thank you for listening, and stay safe and stay well.